Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor, and today we've got the cold weather highway range test of the 2021 Mustang Mach E. Now this is the all-wheel drive extended battery option. We've got it charged up at a charge point charger. It's still taking a little bit of juice, but it's down below 1 kilowatt, so it's just pretty much maintaining battery at this point. So we're going to head out on the highway and do 50 miles out, 50 miles back, averaging 70 miles per hour to see what sort of range you can expect in the Mustang Mach E at roughly 32 degrees Fahrenheit, 0 degrees Celsius. As a benchmark, we're also going to be running our long-term Tesla Model Y standard range at the same time. We've got Alyssa here. She's going to pilot the Mustang out in the first half. I'm going to pilot the Tesla, and then we're going to switch halfway to negate any differences in weight. Then we're going to come back here to the same charger and charge the Mustang all the way up to see how many total kilowatts we use. Taking a look around the Mustang Mach E here, it's been a cool car to have around so far. It looks really good in this rapid red. If you want to see more on the Mustang Mach E, check the links in the description for our full review, our sound system test of the B&O audio system, and some comparisons between this and our Tesla Model Y. Now, one weird thing, and this is a bit of a side note because the test isn't focusing on the Tesla, but the Tesla won't charge past 96% right now. It's a little frustrating. So we charged both of these cars up to 100 before we left the house, and then we drove to here, and I plugged it in at 97, and it won't accept any more juice. I've changed the trip slider, made sure it's all the way 100%, so all I can think is that the car thinks it's close enough to full and doesn't want to accept any more battery. So that's a bit of a disappointment. But the other thing, in order to make these cars kind of as balanced as possible, we have not preheated the cabin on either one. So when Alyssa heads out, we're going to set the climate control to 66 degrees auto on both vehicles with one level of driver's seat heat. So it will have to be creating some heat as we head out, so keep that in mind. A few other things to note, tire pressures have been set to their door placard pressures. So this is 39 PSI cold, that's 42 PSI cold. And we are all filled up and ready to go. Let's unplug the Mustang, unplug the Tesla. We're ready to roll. We're not going to have the opportunity to charge the Tesla all the way back up to full using the same chargers. We don't have the ability to just leave both cars on the chargers for the 5 to 6 hours they would need to charge all the way up. But we are going to charge the Mustang all the way to get its readout, and then for the Tesla, we're actually able to track its electricity usage with an app called Teslafy. With Teslafy, we're able to see exactly how much electricity the car uses, and that's how we've been calculating all of our range tests so far. So yes, I fully admit it's not the same science as we're using for the Mach E, so take that with a grain of salt. But this test isn't supposed to be strictly a Mach E versus Model Y highway comparison. Running the Tesla is more of just a benchmark. We're trying to get a bunch of different range tests going at once. The main focus is testing the Mustang and seeing how it does. Now that we're up at highway speeds, we're going to set our cruise control at a GPS indicated 72 miles per hour. So for us here in the Tesla, that means 74 on the vehicle's readout, and the Mustang, that should mean 73. Neither of us are going to be drafting or driving aggressively or anything. It should just be a nice, smooth test. So we're going to continue on. We'll catch up with you at the end of the test. In the meantime, feel free to enjoy this time lapse of the entire trip. All right, we're coming up to the end of the highway range test here in the Ford Mustang Mach E. Currently 59% battery remaining, 127 miles of range estimated. And that is adapted to recent vehicle driving conditions, so I estimate that to be pretty darn accurate. According to the vehicle's readout, this is a little confusing to me because I reset trip 1 at the same time that we head out, and they say the same exact mileage and time. You can see 98.1, 98.1, 130.2, 130.25. I mean, this one's been technically slightly longer, but this is 2.8 miles per kilowatt hour, and this one says 2.5. This one also says Root has used a lot more of our battery, and this one says Root has used a lot less. So I don't know exactly which one is the one we should go by. I guess we'll go by this trip. 2.5 miles per kilowatt hour. 91% of it eaten up by the Root, 7% climate use, 1% accessories, and 1% exterior temperature. But if you go by trip 1, then it says 10% climate use, 81% Root, 3% accessories, and 6% exterior temperature. Also, our GPS has been really wonky in this car. I use the same phone for keeping track of average speed and current speed and everything in every single car we use, and for some reason in this car it keeps fluctuating everywhere. So I don't know if something's going wrong with the device or if it's the vehicle, but I'm a little more inclined to think it's the vehicle. Maybe there's some electromagnetic interference or something. Highway comfort's really good in the Mach E. The seats are comfortable, the ride is good, and it's a good deal quieter than the Model Y. I used my phone as sort of a rudimentary decibel sound reader, and this is coming in at 70 decibels, whereas the Model Y is coming in at 74. Pretty significant difference. Now, if the estimated range is to be believed, then a full charge in this car going about 70 in right now 41 degree temperatures, that should give you a total highway range of about 210 miles. And that is actually not too far off of the 84 mpge estimate that the EPA gives this car. So we're going to take it nice and easy back to the chargers, get this thing plugged in, and then once it charges all the way up, we'll come on back, see what our total electricity used is. There we are, 103.0 miles according to the vehicle. 124 miles left of range. 82% acceleration, 93% in deceleration, and 24% in speed for our ratings. Alright, we're going to charge it up and check on back after it's all charged. It ended up taking 8.5 hours to finish charging that Mustang Mach E. It was a 6.6 kilowatt charger, and it just, it just took its sweet old time and finally got up there, ending up with 46.27 kilowatt hours added. The battery had gone down to 52% when we rolled in. And given that 88 kilowatt hours are usable in the battery, it makes sense. So we're going to assume a 90% efficiency for level 2 charging, meaning that we're going to assume the car actually only put 41.64 kilowatt hours into the battery. Based on that math, we did 105.1 miles on the trip, divided by 41.64 kilowatt hours gives us 2.52 miles per kilowatt hour. So that is actually pretty darn accurate with one of those trip readouts in the Mustang Mach E, not the other one. Like I said, I don't know why that other one was giving us 2.8. That comes out to, if we do 2.52 times 33.7, 85 mpge, which is one better than what the EPA gives the Mustang Mach E all-wheel drive extended range, which gives it 84. Now again, assuming this is an 88 usable kilowatt hour battery, we're going to do 88 kilowatt hours times 2.52 miles per kilowatt hour, giving us 222 miles, or rounding down to the nearest tenth like we like to do here at Daily Motor, 220 miles of highway driving, 70 miles per hour at 40 degrees Fahrenheit here in the Mustang Mach E all-wheel drive extended range. For a little comparison, let's take a look at our Tesla and how it fared. Now, like I said, it did the exact same route at the same speeds. It came back in with 37% battery, although it only started with 96. And we know, using Teslafy right here, that the car used 29.88 kilowatt hours. So we don't have to make that assumption of how much power the Charger actually put back in the battery. We know that it used 29.88, but the Mustang's getting a little bit of the benefit of the doubt with that 90% charging efficiency we gave it. Ignore this miles driven figure here. Our car reads a little bit high. We calculated our miles using GPS. 105.1 miles divided by 29.88 kilowatt hours gives us 3.52 miles per kilowatt hour. So a whole mile per kilowatt hour better than the Mach E. This comes out to 119 mpge, which coincidentally is exactly what the EPA gives for this car. So both the Mach E and the Model Y are achieving their EPA efficiency ratings, not necessarily their range ratings, but the efficiency ratings on this test. Now, going all the way through the calculations with the standard range car isn't super relevant considering they don't even sell this model anymore, but we'll do it real quick. Assuming 53 usable kilowatt hours in the battery times 3.52 miles per kilowatt hours, giving us 187, or rounding down, 180 miles at 70 miles per hour, 40 degrees Fahrenheit in the sun. However, we do know that the long-range Model Y, which obviously is still sold and is much more comparable to the Mustang Mach E extended battery all-wheel drive, we're going to assume that car is about 2% less efficient than our standard range rear-wheel drive car. So that would give us 3.52 miles per kilowatt hour times 98%, 3.45 miles per kilowatt hour for a long-range all-wheel drive Model Y, times a 72.5 kilowatt hour battery is giving you 250 miles at 70 miles per hour, 40 degrees Fahrenheit, in a long-range Model Y. So honestly, 220 miles to 250 miles, really not that big of a difference in real-world use. You'll find driving an electric vehicle that you very rarely use the full range of the vehicle unless you're doing a ton of road tripping. If you are doing a ton of road tripping, maybe you should consider a gas car or at least something more like a Model 3. 220 miles of range in the Mach E, still pretty darn good. Thank you all so much for watching. If you want to see more on the Mach E, check the links in the description, and we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.